Primitive species, your weapons belong in a museum! The voice echoed across the galaxy, a proclamation from the alien coalition's high command. They stood on their warships, towering over the Earth's fragile-looking defenses, confident that humanity's resistance would crumble in moments. To them, humans were a relic of a forgotten era, a species clutching to outdated technology in a universe dominated by precision, innovation, and unassailable power. The invaders came not as explorers but as conquerors, their fleets blackening the skies with their vast shadows. Each ship, a masterpiece of alien engineering, shimmered with plasma shields and photon cannons that could incinerate cities in seconds. Earth's attempts at diplomacy had been dismissed with cold amusement. The alien commanders laughed as they prepared their assault, confident in their technological superiority. But what happens when those outdated weapons defy every expectation? The alien coalition was a formidable alliance of advanced species united by a single ideology: might makes right. They considered themselves the arbiters of progress, tasked with policing the galaxy and ensuring its lesser inhabitants knew their place. Each member species had achieved technological heights unimaginable to Earth: quantum weaponry, interdimensional travel, and self-aware AI. Their civilizations spanned thousands of star systems, each boasting centuries of unchallenged dominance. And then there was Earth. A single, small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable star. To the coalition, it was a curious anomaly, a planet whose species had clawed its way to survival against its own destructive tendencies. But curiosity turned to disdain when they observed humanity's arsenal. Primitive ballistic missiles, combustion-based firearms, clunky tanks, and a space fleet barely capable of orbiting its own moon. Compared to the sleek, gravity-defying cruisers of the coalition, Earth's military looked like a crude reenactment of ancient warfare. The coalition's objectives were clear: humanity would either surrender and serve as labor for the galaxy's greater powers or face annihilation. The Earth itself would be stripped of its resources, its oceans siphoned, and its fertile lands converted into factory planets. Resistance, the coalition believed, would be futile and laughable. They anticipated a short campaign, a show of force to break human morale. Yet, something about humanity puzzled them. Most primitive species would cower under the threat of annihilation or scatter to the winds in panic. Humans didn't. They mobilized, pulling together resources and forming a global defense strategy. They coordinated in a way the coalition hadn't anticipated. The coalition commanders dismissed this as futile bravado. It was, after all, what they'd come to expect from so-called lesser species. The alien soldiers and strategists weren't shy about their contempt. They sneered at Earth's reliance on combustion engines, relics of a pre-quantum era. They laughed at the absence of autonomous AI on the battlefield, a basic standard for galactic warfare. The idea that humans still relied on living soldiers to pilot their aircraft or tanks was absurd to them. Why risk flesh and blood when machines could do the job flawlessly? They mocked Earth's strategic choices, such as its emphasis on missiles and gunpowder-based explosives. Fireworks, they called them. The coalition marveled at how humans dared to challenge energy shields with projectiles that relied on mere velocity and impact. Their underestimation wasn't just rooted in technology, it was philosophical. The coalition believed humanity was incapable of grasping the sheer complexity of advanced warfare. They couldn't imagine a scenario where brute resilience could stand against refined sophistication. But in their arrogance, the coalition overlooked something critical. Humanity had a weapon they hadn't accounted for, not a machine or a missile, but a mindset. Humans, they thought, were brash, disorganized, and chaotic. And yet that chaos held the seeds of something the coalition had long since forgotten: adaptability. They underestimated us. That was their first mistake. The alien fleet struck with precision and overwhelming force, targeting Earth's major cities, communication hubs, and military installations. Their assault was meticulous, designed to paralyze any form of resistance before it could even begin. Beams of energy sliced through the atmosphere, reducing everything they touched to smoldering ash. The skies burned with the fury of advanced weaponry, and for a moment, it seemed like the coalition's predictions would come true. Humanity's defenses appeared woefully inadequate. But then something unexpected happened. In the chaos, a squadron of aging fighter jets, retrofitted with makeshift enhancements, managed to evade the targeting systems of an alien cruiser. The pilots, defying all odds, executed a daring maneuver, launching old-fashioned heat-seeking missiles at close range. The missiles found their mark, detonating in a cascade of explosions that engulfed the alien vessel. It was a small victory, but it sent shockwaves through the coalition's ranks. "How did they even?" was the stunned reaction among alien commanders. They couldn't comprehend how outdated technology could breach their seemingly flawless defenses. The turning point wasn't just a matter of luck, it was strategy. Humanity knew it couldn't match the aliens in technological sophistication, so it leaned into its strengths: creativity, adaptability, and an intimate understanding of Earth itself. When direct confrontation failed, humans turned to guerrilla tactics. Fighter pilots used the cover of mountain ranges and dense urban environments to evade detection. Soldiers on the ground utilized the terrain to stage ambushes, laying traps in forests and deserts, places where the alien forces struggled to maneuver their advanced but unwieldy equipment. One of humanity's boldest moves came from its ability to improvise with analog technology. While the aliens relied on encrypted quantum communications, humans reactivated decades-old radio systems. The Coalition's AI-driven systems, designed to counter sophisticated interference, failed to recognize these outdated frequencies. Human forces hacked into alien channels, disrupting their operations and even feeding them false information. This unorthodox approach sowed confusion among the Coalition, forcing them to operate with an unfamiliar level of caution. As the war dragged on, certain individuals emerged as pivotal figures in humanity's resistance. Among them was a rogue general whose reputation for insubordination had nearly ended his career before the invasion. His unconventional ideas, once dismissed as reckless, became the backbone of Earth's defensive strategy. He saw the Coalition's arrogance as their Achilles heel and exploited it mercilessly. Every time the aliens dismissed a tactic as beneath their notice, he turned it into a weapon. In the shadows, scientists worked around the clock in underground labs, repurposing civilian technology for military use. They modified drones, originally designed for agricultural surveys, into kamikaze weapons capable of targeting alien shields. Engineers found ways to weaponize electromagnetic pulses, shutting down the Coalition's high-tech machinery during critical moments. The decentralized nature of these efforts meant that no single point of failure could cripple the resistance. This grassroots approach became humanity's greatest strength. Where the aliens relied on centralized command structures, humans operated in small, independent units. Decisions were made quickly and locally, allowing for a level of adaptability that the Coalition couldn't counter. Every failure became a lesson, every loss a stepping stone to a new tactic. Humanity wasn't just surviving, it was evolving in real time. The aliens had come to Earth expecting an easy conquest. What they found instead was a species that refused to bow, that turned its supposed weaknesses into unshakable strengths. Every act of defiance, every unexpected victory, chipped away at their confidence. They had underestimated humanity's resilience, and now they were paying the price. The alien coalition operated under a rigid philosophy: efficiency, superiority, and uniformity were the cornerstones of their dominance. Every action, every decision, was calculated to achieve maximum results with minimal effort. To them, chaos was a weakness, and unpredictability was a flaw to be eradicated. This mindset shaped not only their approach to war but their perception of humanity. They saw humans as an inherently flawed species, reliant on emotion, disorder, and outdated methods. Their arrogance was their foundation, a belief so deeply ingrained that they failed to see their blind spots. To the Coalition, humanity's tactics seemed like desperate flailing, uncoordinated, unsophisticated, and doomed to fail. They didn't realize that this messiness was not a sign of weakness but a byproduct of adaptability. The Coalition's frustration grew with each encounter, as humanity's unpredictability turned what should have been a quick conquest into a protracted, grueling conflict. Alien commanders found themselves outmaneuvered by Earth forces exploiting strategies no logical algorithm would ever predict. What they dismissed as amateurish improvisation turned out to be humanity's most potent weapon. The Coalition's greatest annoyance came from humanity's refusal to adhere to what they considered the rules of war. Soldiers disobeyed what should have been surefire demands for surrender. Small civilian groups sabotaged supply chains, using tools and knowledge that the Coalition deemed primitive. Every act of defiance eroded the aliens' sense of control, exposing the limitations of their uniform and over-engineered systems. Amid this clash of ideologies, humanity's spirit became the defining force. Soldiers on the front lines displayed acts of courage that defied logic, willingly sacrificing themselves to protect others or gain even the smallest advantage. These weren't just strategic decisions, they were deeply emotional, driven by an unyielding belief in the cause. Civilians, too, adapted their lives to support the war effort, transforming homes into makeshift hospitals or factories. Farmers supplied resistance fighters while tech enthusiasts hacked alien drones using little more than repurposed consumer electronics. A single rallying cry emerged from the chaos, uniting soldiers, civilians, and leaders alike. We're not fighting for survival, we're fighting for freedom. It wasn't just a statement of defiance. It was a declaration of purpose, a reminder that humanity wasn't just protecting its existence but defending its right to live on its own terms. As the conflict escalated, humanity prepared its boldest counterstrike yet. A fleet of stealth bombers and submarines carried Earth's last resort, nuclear weapons. In a galaxy dominated by quantum weaponry and plasma cannons, the aliens scoffed at this plan. "They think they can stop us with firecrackers?" was the smug remark from one Coalition commander. The mothership, a colossal structure bristling with energy shields and advanced weaponry, hovered in Earth's orbit, an unassailable fortress, or so they thought. The Coalition failed to understand that this wasn't just an attack, it was a message. The strike wasn't about the sophistication of the weapon but the resolve of those who wielded it. Humanity wasn't playing by the Coalition's rules, and that, more than anything, was what made them so dangerous. The plan was audacious, born from desperation and a refusal to surrender. Humanity's final gamble relied on a combination of stealth, misdirection, and an unwavering resolve to deliver a devastating blow. Nuclear warheads, relics of Earth's darker past, were repurposed for one last stand. They were loaded onto stealth submarines and drones that had been re-engineered to evade detection by alien sensors. Meanwhile, decoy drones scattered across the globe created a cacophony of false signals, drawing the Coalition's attention away from the true threat. The aliens, confident in their invincibility, dismissed the scattered signals as yet another example of human disorganization. They focused their defenses on areas they deemed strategically important, failing to realize that the actual strike would come from deep beneath the ocean. The submarines crept into position, each carrying their deadly payload. As the decoys drew fire and alien fleets scrambled in response to the misdirection, the real attack began. In a coordinated assault, the warheads were launched, their trajectories carefully calculated to pierce the alien mothership's shielding at its weakest points. The detonation was catastrophic. Nuclear fire erupted in the cold void of space, consuming everything in its wake. The shockwave rippled through the mothership, tearing through its armor and igniting secondary explosions across its structure. EMP pulses from the blast scrambled the Coalition's advanced systems, rendering their weaponry and defenses useless in a matter of seconds. On the alien command deck, disbelief turned to panic as they realized their technological superiority had failed them. Their shields, their systems, their fortress. They were all crumbling under the weight of humanity's desperate ingenuity. The mothership, a symbol of the Coalition's dominance, began to break apart, its once imposing presence reduced to a scattering of debris falling toward Earth's atmosphere. Coalition fleets, still reeling from the sudden loss of their flagship, scrambled to regroup. The shockwaves of the attack reverberated not just physically but psychologically. For the first time, the Coalition saw humanity for what it truly was, a force to be reckoned with. Cheers erupted across the globe as news of the victory spread. In underground bunkers, on war-torn streets, And in homes that had become shelters, humanity celebrated. It wasn't just the destruction of the mothership that fueled their triumph. It was the realization that they had defied the odds, standing firm against an enemy that had deemed them unworthy of survival. The alien retreat was swift. Their fleets, now leaderless and disoriented, withdrew from Earth's orbit, leaving behind the wreckage of their arrogance. For humanity, it was a bittersweet victory. The cost had been immense, cities reduced to rubble, countless lives lost, but the spirit of resistance had triumphed. A human leader, battered and weary, addressed the world. Their words carried the weight of loss and the pride of endurance. They thought our weapons were outdated. They thought we were nothing more than a footnote in their history. But we are more than our tools, more than our technology. We are human. And today, we showed them what that means. The cost of victory was staggering. Entire cities lay in ruins, their skylines reduced to silhouettes of ash and steel. Families mourned their lost loved ones, and the scars of battle stretched across every continent. The war had claimed more than just lives, it had shaken humanity to its core, testing its resilience in ways it had never faced before. Yet, amidst the rubble, the unyielding spirit of humanity stood tall. The sacrifices made during the conflict were not forgotten. Every soldier who fought on the front lines, every scientist who worked tirelessly in hidden labs, and every civilian who found courage in the darkest moments became part of a collective story of defiance. Against a technologically superior enemy that sought to erase them, humanity had not only survived but shown the galaxy what it meant to persevere. This victory wasn't just about tactics or weapons, it was a triumph of willpower and unity. The alien coalition, battered and humbled, returned to their federation with a stark warning. Humanity may be primitive, one commander admitted to their council, but they are far more dangerous than we imagined. They are unpredictable, relentless, and refuse to bow, even in the face of annihilation. This newfound respect for Earth rippled through the galactic community. What had once been seen as a small, insignificant planet now carried a reputation that far exceeded its size. No longer dismissed as a primitive backwater, humanity became a symbol of resilience and adaptability. The coalition itself fractured under the weight of its failure, with some member species questioning the arrogance that had led them to underestimate humanity in the first place. For Earth, the end of the war marked not just survival but a new beginning. Nations that had once been divided by politics, borders, and ideologies now worked together to rebuild. The lessons learned during the war fostered a global unity that transcended old rivalries. Humanity began to invest in its future with a sense of shared purpose, determined to create a world that honored the sacrifices of the past. Reconstruction efforts were guided by a newfound humility and wisdom. Rather than simply restoring what had been lost, humanity sought to build something better, a society rooted in collaboration, innovation, and the understanding that their greatest strength lay in their collective heart and spirit. As Earth healed, its people looked to the stars with a mixture of caution and hope. The galaxy had been introduced to humanity's tenacity, and while the scars of war remained, so too did the knowledge that they had earned their place among the stars. In the end, it wasn't their weapons or technology that defined humanity. It was their ability to adapt, to fight for one another, and to rise stronger from the ashes of despair. And as the dust settled, one truth became clear: humanity's legacy wasn't just survival, it was the indomitable will to thrive against all odds.